Senator John Kennedy, how good to have you on, sir.
Glenn, it's good to be with you, man. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with the reopening of the government. I think this is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. We're only reopening it until January. They're going to do this again. Are they not?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they learned a lesson. I mean, here's what happened, Glenn. 7 weeks ago, the country was just rocking along, minding its own business. Our budget was about to run out, but we were talking with the Democrats about negotiating a new one. And all of a sudden, at the last minute, Senator Schumer came to us and said, I'm going to stop negotiating. I'm going to tell my people to vote to shut government down unless you give me $1.5 trillion. You gut the one big beautiful bill like a fish, and you extend the Obamacare subsidies. Well, I mean, I'd rather have a back alley colonoscopy than vote for something like that. And my colleagues felt the same way. So we told Chuck, Chuck, short answer is no. The long answer is hell no. And Chuck his demands, Glenn, you had to have an Excel spreadsheet to track them. It was so unserious. And so we just sat there and we didn't give up anything. And eventually he had to go to 5 or 6 of his colleagues to get them to bail him out. And that's why where we are.
Was this just about election? Was this just about the election? What was this for?
Oh, it was politics. It has to do with Senator Schumer's politics. The Bolshevik wing, the loon wing of his party, he's scared of them.
He should be.
Instead of standing up to them, I think his testicles are on back order from China because he just wanted them to love him. They don't love him. They're never going to love him. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is either going to, if the Democrats take over the House, she's either going to be the new speaker, or she's going to run against Schumer, or she's going to run for president. And her wing of the party, the Bolshevik wing, is in control. That's what's going on.
What do you think of John Fetterman?
I really like John. His health has gotten a lot better. He's a little bit like me. We don't agree on politics, but he plays outside the pocket. He says what he thinks. He's very popular in Pennsylvania. Now, he's not popular among the loon wing of his party. And so he could have problems in a primary, but statewide, people find him, as I do, refreshing.
Let me just tick off a couple of other things here real quick. Filibuster. Okay. Yeah. I just talked to the White House this week, and they're dead serious about getting rid of the filibuster. And I said, maybe reform it, maybe go back to the way it was. But please, let's not get rid of the speed bump of the filibuster. And they're convinced that we'll never get anything passed. And the comment was, these people that we're working against are completely unserious. They don't want the same kind of America. How do we get anything passed when they are roadblocking absolutely everything? How do you respond to that?
Well, I talked to the president, I don't know, last week. I mean, he's dug in like a tick. I like the filibuster. When I got to the Senate, Glenn, I didn't. But I finally learned that the role of the senator is really twofold. Of course, it's to advance good ideas, but it's also to kill bad ideas. And we killed a lot of bad ideas with the filibuster.
I know.
When Joe Biden was president. My preference, and I've been encouraging Senator Foon, who I don't think he agrees with me, but we passed a one big beautiful bill without a single Democratic vote, and it's a marvelous bill. And we did it through reconciliation, about which you know. And we can do 2 more reconciliation bills. And for 7 weeks, 8 weeks, couple of months, we've done nothing in the Senate. We need to get up off our ice cold lazy butts and go pass another reconciliation bill that addresses the cost of housing and the cost of health insurance and the cost of living, the things that moms and dads are worried about when they lie down to sleep at night and can't. But I don't sense that the president's going to give up on it. Right now, I can tell you if Thune brought it up for a vote among the Republicans, it wouldn't pass.
It would not pass. How do you feel about the Supreme Court? Where are they going to come down on these tariffs and the role of the Senate?
Well, I don't know how they're going to come down. I listened to the oral argument. I didn't go over there, but I could get it by audio. And they asked the questions I thought they would. The president is arguing that he's construing the statute. IEPA is saying this is a foreign policy decision, and traditionally the U.S. Supreme Court does not interfere with the executive branch when it is addressing foreign policy. The questions from the justices, with the exception of a couple, seem to be along the lines of, well, is it really foreign policy? And the statute is plain, and it doesn't mention tariffs. But I learned long ago you never predict what the court's going to do based on oral argument. They'll fool you.
What do you think the right thing is?
I've got I don't know. I've got really mixed feelings about tariffs. There's no question the president is right that for years and years and years, other countries have taken advantage of America, particularly China. We admitted China to the World Trade Organization, I think it was December 9th, 2001. China started cheating December 10th. And I like the idea of reining them in through tariffs. If I had my druthers, here's what I would propose. I don't think the president would agree with me, but I would go to every one of these countries and say, here's the deal. If you reduce your tariffs to 0, America will reduce its tariffs to 0. And then we'll let our companies compete on a level playing field, and may the best product at the best price win. And I think America will win that fight. Now, the president, I can tell you, I've talked to him, he doesn't see it that way.
No, he doesn't. We're talking to Senator John Kennedy. He is one of my favorite senators, and I think if you've been listening the last couple of minutes, you know why. Graduated Vanderbilt University, University of Virginia, and Oxford. That I would have paid money to see you at Oxford. That had to be entertaining for all involved.
I was one of the few senators who met for any length of time with Senator Joe Biden. That was bizarre, and it was early in his term. He showed me around his office. Well, I remember we talked for a while. The staff's trying to get rid of me. We were there for a bill signing. He asked me if I'd seen his cabinet room, and I said no. I had seen it, but I said no, sir. And so he said, I'm going to take you over there, and it's maybe 20 yards away. And you could have baked a Thanksgiving turkey in the time that it took him to walk from his oval over to the and I remember thinking at the time, this gentleman has reached the point in life where all he wants to do is sit around and talk about the old days and tell stories, and when he gets tired, he just wants soup and an early bedtime. And this was his first year. Nice guy, very affable. I wouldn't call him a policy maven. The people around him were running the country. But I just thought the whole thing was bizarre. But you don't believe them at all that they didn't know, right? I mean, there was no way to be. I mean, we saw it from a distance. I mean, of course they knew. I mean, I listened to them say, "Oh, we had no idea," and I'm thinking to myself, I'll take exquisitely dumb for 500. Of course, you knew. You had to know. You could see it, and this was in his first year. The president clearly had the beginnings, again, in the first year of his presidency, of neurodegenerative disease. I mean, it happens to us, to many people at that age. And he wouldn't have made it through a second term. I'm sorry, he wouldn't have.
Can I ask you something? Who did you grow up with? When I grew up, I tell stories in the way my grandfather used to tell stories. I remember sitting at his feet, and he would just tell stories. You have such a unique way of telling stories, and all of these phrases that just pop into your head. Where did you get that? Is that what life is like? Where did you grow up? You grew up in Zachary, Louisiana? Is that?
Yeah. Little bitty
Is
town.
that what it's like there?
Yeah. When I grew up, it's much bigger now because of the schools are so good. But when I grew up, it was about 3,000 people. We didn't have a town drunk. We were that small. Several people had to take turns. Everybody knew everybody. You didn't lie. I loved high school. I cared about I'd go back in a second. I cared about two things, Glenn. I cared about basketball, and I cared about cheerleaders. And I wasn't very good at either one, but man, it was so much fun trying. But I learned a lot growing up in Zachary. I went away to school for about 10 years, as long as I could stay in school, and then came back home.
What was it like at Oxford? You had to be just this bizarre something that nobody could figure out over there.
Well, the kid, it took him a while to learn how to learn my speech patterns, and right. I realized that my voice sets off car alarms, but that's just my voice and my accent. But Oxford was an extraordinary experience. It's the greatest university in the world. It's the smartest kids in the world, and I wanted to understand what it was like to compete with the best. And I remember the kid that lived next door to me in the dorm, actually in the college, when I first went in to see him the first day, I was there. He had a book on his bed, and I actually asked him to turn down the stereo. And I said, "What are you doing, man?" And he was like 18 years old, big bushy red hair, acne. And he said, "I'm teaching myself Mandarin." And I said, "Do you speak any other languages?" And he named 5 or 6. And I'm thinking this kid can spot me about 60 IQ points. But that's why I came, just to compete see what it's like. But I liked it.
The name of the book is How to Test Negative for Stupid, and Why Washington Never Will. Is there any hope that they'll ever test negative?
You're going to you quoted me earlier. You're just going to have to get the pigs out of the creek. Look, it's not complicated. The problem is that the common sense is illegal in Washington. I mean, really. When I feel inadequate in Washington, because there are a lot of smart people there, but when I feel inadequate, Glenn, I just look around. I mean, you some of these folks, you go, how did these people make it through the birth canal? And the rest of America just looks at them, slack-jawed, in astonishment. And that's why they all hate Trump so much. It is because he sees the world in very practical, commonsensical terms. I mean, is the president perfect? No. Does he work every day to get better? Also, no. The president is the president. His personality's developed. But he's not just sitting there. He's trying to change the place. And most of the time I'm supporting. Now, I'll play. that he
Go ahead.
disagrees with, and he'll call me, and
Yeah.
you know, every time he calls, I wonder if I'll end up with a sombrero on my head because he's mad. But at least he knows where I stand.
John Kennedy is the senator from the great state of Louisiana. John, Senator, thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, Glenn. Love your show, man.